And by the way, I have to put this in big bold letters because if I don't put this in front of my old eyes, I'll forget and we'll get halfway down the course and then I'll remember, and that's no good. Don't ask me why. Betsy's still doing this. Don't know why, but I'm gonna have to get rid of that picture and reload it. This started happening last semester. Lucky you. Summer sessions tend to be a little shorter, so we just have 12 weeks to get through rather than the usual 14. This is routine. Those of you who don't know me, you will receive an agenda before every class. It's a lesson plan. It's my way of remembering what I need to cover, the topics I need to cover. So here we are. We're going to have introductions in a moment. Jenna, because I didn't know you were with us, I don't have your name on the next slide, but that's okay. We'll make sure that we have an introduction from you too. We'll talk quickly about class participation protocols. Those of you who've been with me, I've pared that down a little bit, so it's not quite as tedious as it has been in the past. I'll go over quickly the calendar, just talk very quickly about philosophy of leadership, learning and leadership development. Then we'll get to the course itself, all right? I won't go over the syllabus. I will just reference it, but I won't go over it. All of this is posted, by the way, in Canvas if you're looking for it, all right? Then we'll go through each week of the calendar, so you'll know what that looks like. And then I'm going to make sure that I spend time tonight. Usually I wait for the second class, but tonight I'm going to do it because only having 12 weeks, I really had to cram a lot into 12 weeks. And one of the ways to do that was to do tonight what I normally do in the second week, which is go over in detail the major assignments. And I'll explain why in a moment. We'll talk about reflections, how to reflect. And if we have time, I want to get to something very topical, which I will revisit at various times. I started this last semester, but we wanted to have you all start to think like superintendents or think like central office administrators. So we're tackling the reopening of school no assignments associated with it. But if I can squeeze out some time, we'll be spending time talking about the reopening. Sarah says, I'm here. I don't know what's going on with my webcam, but I'm here and can hear you. Speak to me, Sarah, though, because you can't just sit there. I'll need to hear from you during the night. Sarah, talk to me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay.
I don't know what's going on, but I was unmuted when you asked earlier, and I don't know why you weren't hearing me, but I re-logged in, so.
Okay. All right. Just so you know, for everyone, it's not satisfactory every night to just be here with audio, because frankly, how do I know you're out there? You could be walking over to the refrigerator like Matthew does all the time. I have to keep my eye on him, and how will I know? So let's be fair. I need to see you, and I say that in my letter to you. But that's okay for tonight. This will happen periodically. Well,
I don't know. I used it earlier to teach my online class that I'm teaching, and it worked fine. So I don't know what's going on with it now.
You must have had a really good lesson, Sarah. You burned up the circuitry. But you're okay, my friend. You'll be okay. That was just a caution to everyone, not just you. All right. And then we'll always set the agenda for next week as well. So let's start with introductions, all right? I sent everyone my resume. Just very quickly, I'm a retired public school superintendent, 17 plus years as a superintendent, small school superintendent, which certainly colors my outlook, all right? But with the help of many of your students, I've broadened that outlook and have been able to bring in more big city orientation because of the New York City folks who've been in my classes, and that's helped me a lot. I've had almost every job. I've been an assistant superintendent for 9 years. That was a great job. You become an assistant superintendent, try to find those. Those are good ones. I was a high school principal for 5 years. Back when internships were a lot more detailed, I tell this story all the time. In 1982, I needed an internship. I got one late at Holland High School. I can't believe it. The superintendent was retiring. The principal left. There was no assistant principal. There were 450 kids in the building. They gave me the keys and said, here you go, Chuck, lead the building. And I did not know what I was doing. And I don't mind admitting that. But I tell it because it has shaped the way I teach these courses. Because I've said this many times. I don't want you ever to enter a building be given the keys to a high school or elementary or middle school and not know where to find the basics of your job. So I make sure we spend time giving you the knowledge and the skills you need to walk in on day one. I wish I knew the things I know now that I should have known then, but such as it is. I've been retired since 2014. I've been teaching for NU since 2016. I live here with my wife, Marcia, and 3 cats, no children. I go by Mr. Well, Mr. is the appellation in front of my name, but you can call me Chuck if you care. Professor seems to work as well if you want to be more formal. I'm not a doctor. Sometimes I regret it, not too many times, but I'm not a doctor. And as much as I appreciate the honorific, it would be used improperly if you did. I didn't teach very long, which is why I've always gauged curriculum to be one of my weaknesses. But you'll find that as you move up through the ranks, not everyone can master everything it is about the job. And so every one of us will have some weakness somewhere along the line in our preparation. So that's me in a nutshell. I live here in Eden, New York, about 40 minutes south of Buffalo, about 20 minutes east of the lake. Nice Eden Corn Festival is what we're famous for, except this year because there will be no Eden Corn Festival. Although there will be Eden Corn, which I'm selling at a premium. If you'd care to get a dozen, just call me up. Got $1 premium on every bundle. So with that, any questions about my background or anything germane? Hello, Kimberly.
Sorry about that. I sent you an email. Did you happen to get it?
I did get 2. Yes, I did get yours. Yes, I did.
I could not get in. My password was changed again. I was panicking, but I was finally able to get in.
That one I didn't see. No, that was
sorry about that.
But that's okay. Clarissa, I think she told me she was going to drop. She's still being carried. Siobhan, my friend, are you out there, Siobhan? Doesn't look like it. Who's on the telephone?
That is me. This is Debbie. I'm having problems. I'm re-logging in, but I jumped on the phone to hear the conversation.
Excellent, Debbie. Don't worry about logging. Rather than keep trying that, you and Jenna or Sarah are okay. Sarah? No.
Okay.
See, now, where'd she go?
Me, Debbie?
No, not you, Deb. Jurgens. It's hard to be a stickler on this, folks, but I believe that, online learning is one thing, but attendance is the same no matter what the environment. Sarah. All right, so if we could, Alicia, would you care to do the honors and share with us where you're broadcasting from? It's because it's always nice to know where people are sitting, what your current position is. If you're if you're employed, if you're staying at home, whatever you're doing, let us know that too. Everything is valuable, and tell us what your future plans too. Alicia?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So Alicia Bubb. I am from Hector, New York. It's near Seneca Lake, if you're not familiar, in the Finger Lakes. I taught 13 years as a 7th grade social studies teacher. And then just currently this last fall, I work for the Elmira City School District. And I started a new position as the supervisor of school innovation. So I'm wrapping up my first year. And this is my last class in my master's program here. So looking forward to finishing out the summer strong. And my future plans, I would like to possibly like curriculum instruction, some sort of like a director of that.
Very interesting position, Alicia. I think you'd be a real credit to the class, a good resource for us, being the supervisor of school innovation. Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay, Sarah's with us again. Allison, pleasure to meet you. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, I live in Kenmore, New York, which is just right outside of Buffalo. I work for Buffalo Public Schools I was a special ed teacher for Buffalo, and for the past 8 years, I've been a CSE, a Committee on Special Education chairperson. I'm doing the SBL SDL program, and when I started, I wanted to be a supervisor of special ed, and I have next semester is my last semester, and going through the program, I changed my mind, and I think I'd like to start as like an assistant principal. I'm not ready to leave the building and leave the kids yet. So that's it.
Good for you. Your times are really challenging. That's one of the first groups I thought about when we all had to go home, is how are they going to carry on meeting the obligations of the Part 200 regulations and all those timelines, et cetera. Oh my God, very difficult job you've got, Allison.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
Sure it has. Very good. Betsy, good to see you again. Tell our friends about you.
Hi, my name is Betsy Hoffer. I'm from Rochester, New York. I actually live in Greece, and I'm the Associate Director of Student Attendance for the Rochester City School District. I've been an educator for 26 years, 27. I have to think about how old my daughter is. She was 9 months old when I started. And I've been a teacher, instructional support coach, assistant principal, academy director, and I'm working from home. I'm supervising my department from home, and that has gone very well so far, and doing a lot of Zoom meetings every day. So that gets a little old sometimes. Future plans, I hope to continue in this position and, continue to work with Rochester and, see how we can close those gaps that are coming up that we're finding out are existing because of COVID-19 and distance learning.
Pardon me. Betsy, is your new super in the chair?
Yes, she is. Very excited.
Yeah, you got a big smile on your face. That's great.
I'm very happy. When I did my first master, she was in my cohort, so I know her, and I think she's going to be a great fit. So I have hope again.
Good for you. Keep the hope alive. Very good. Jenna Jacobiak, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I am
Sarah, when you're not speaking, Sarah, you have to keep your microphone muted. And there she goes again. Yikes. Go ahead, Jenna. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay, so I live in West Seneca. I'm a special education teacher for Buffalo Public Schools. This is my first class. I'm doing the SDL program. So future plans, I'm hoping to stay in special education and do some sort of directing or something like that.
Something like that.
It's first class. We'll see where it goes.
Okay, very good. Keep your options open, right?
Yes.
Very good. Thanks, Jenna. Jolene, well, I was going to ask Juergens to come on, but she's gone again. Jolene, please.
Hi, I'm Jolene Nearhood. I work in the city of Niagara Falls, the school district, which is right by Niagara. This is the end of my 4th year with the district and in teaching, and I teach 7th grade math. As for future plans, I don't know. At first, I couldn't imagine leaving the building, and then there's times I think that working in central office would be fun, but I'm so early in my career, and I just don't know where it's going to end yet. So I like to leave my options open and have different experiences and kind of see where things go. And I'm about halfway through the program. So
I was thinking that the other day, Jolene. I think these jobs find us sometimes. It's hard to really chart a path and have it always follow the way you want. It's kind of like something opens up and you just kind of fill that void, and before you know it, that's what you're doing for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's how I got the job I have now. I wanted to teach special ed, and they called and said, we have a math position available, and I took it, and I couldn't imagine not teaching math. Like, I love where I'm at now, and I love what I'm doing, but it was not my plan 4 years ago. So that's why options are good. So
Exactly. I get it. I understand that completely. So let's see. Kimberly, tell us about yourself, Kim.
Hi, so I'm Kim Aruda. I have been a supervisor of a high school program for a number of years. It includes a transition program. I am a BCBA, so it's an applied behavior analysis program, students with severe disabilities in Westchester County. So I'm all the way down by the city, just north of the city. This is a very interesting situation. It's a little bit bittersweet. I'm excited to be here, but I was due to graduate in May. So when I had been back and forth with the state about timing of certification, and they shared they were a minimum of 16 weeks behind once schools closed. Schools closed here March 16th, which was the first day of my second internship for my SBL. So I decided to just stop and do the final few classes for the SDL. So instead of the SBL advanced certificate, I'm just going to do a few more and get the whole master's. So it's a little bit bittersweet because I thought I was going to be graduating and I'm not. But happy to be here nonetheless.
Yeah, I think about that often. All the youngsters, younger than us, of course, 17-year-olds, and then of course people like yourself who had plans, and whether they be weddings or moving or buying a house or graduating, everything has all been just thrown up in the air. And so I can empathize with your predicament, but I'm glad you stayed the course.
Yeah,
and you pursue it. You haven't dropped it entirely, and you'll be the better for it when we get on the other side of this.
I think so.
Good for you, Kimberly. Christy, it's nice to see you again. Please tell us about yourself.
Hi, it's nice to see you again too. My name is Christy Short, and I am broadcasting from the state of North Carolina. Recently the start of this school year, my family and I moved from upstate New York down to North Carolina. Prior to moving, I was a teacher in the state of New York for 13 years. Currently, I am at Buckhorn Creek Elementary School, which is in the Wake County School District, which, if you're familiar with the South, it is a huge school district in the Raleigh area. I live in Holly Springs, which is close to Cary, North Carolina. Let's see, I'm at the elementary level. I have experience teaching in the middle school. I was a professional development instructor at a district up in New York State. I have one semester left before I finish my master's with the program. So thank goodness for being online so that I can do it, having moved out of state, which I didn't anticipate happening when I started this whole thing. And the future, I am getting used to a new state, a new school district. I am interested in curriculum and development and curriculum and instruction and professional development. So I'd like to go down that route in the future.
Very good. Didn't know that you moved. Good for you. I'm very glad your governor is in the eye of the political storm right now, isn't he?
Yes, he is, and we are in phase 2 as of Friday. So yeah, and our governor is in the midst of.
He's in a tough bind.
Yes.
Let's wish everybody well. Thank you, Christy. Good luck to you on your new job, Mr. Laurie. Matthew.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Laurie. I live in Niagara Falls, New York, and I teach in the Niagara Falls City School District. I'm just wrapping up my 3rd year there, so I'm really at the beginning of my career. Next year, I'll be my 4th year teaching 7th grade English language arts. I'm a little bit more than halfway through the program right now, so as far as future goals, I'm in the same boat as many of you and not necessarily knowing exactly what I want to do. I always thought, and I still think that I'd like to be in a building working around students. That's where my passion really lies right now. I did start my internship at our central office with the administrator for human resources. So that has been really eye-opening to start to get a different perspective on education by seeing what she does on a daily basis. Obviously, a little different now with all that's going on, but definitely expanding my horizons and happy to be back in Professor Rinaldi's class for the summer. It's crazy how fast time is flying by.
Thank you, Matthew. Megan, hang on a second. I'm going to go up to Deborah and bring her in. Deborah, you want to tell us about yourself?
Yes, I'm. You can see me on screen, but I'm talking on my phone because everything didn't seem to be working together. Can you?
Yeah, you're good, Deb.
You can hear me? Okay. So I'm calling from Brooklyn. I'm sitting in Brooklyn. The internet is not always what it can be, even in neighborhoods with $1 million condos. I can tell you that. There's no broadband here. It's coming over copper wire. I've been a school librarian in the New York City schools for more than 20 years. And now I'm in the Office of Library Services, so we support and train librarians for the schools. I did take a little detour and worked overseas for a couple years for the Department of Defense overseas schools, and I'm glad I did because nowadays you don't know when you're going to travel anywhere, right? And future, well, this is my last class. If everything goes well, I'm scheduled for the exams at the end of June, those SDL tests, the Pearson tests, and then hopefully I'll be done, and I may finish up just in time to be cut from my position and kicked back into the librarian pool if they, in fact, are hiring librarians. We have some pretty dark, dark news, dark days ahead of us here in New York City.
But who would have known librarians are living in $1 million condos? That's great.
Well, I'm not. I'm in the shack next door, but there are millions. That's how New York is. You know that.
I always say buy the cheapest house you can in the best neighborhood. So that must have been good for you, Deborah. It's nice to hear from you again.
Thanks.
Megan, tell us about yourself. Megan Walls?
My name is Megan Walls. I live in Ticonderoga, New York. I teach in Crown Point Central School, which is on the eastern side of the state. I live about 3 miles from the Vermont border. I also did some time overseas. I taught in Morocco for 6 years at an American school, and then have taught at Crown Point for the last 2 years. I'm the music teacher, small school, 300 kids. So I do pre-K through 12, everything on that front. And in the next couple of years, there's quite a few principals and superintendents retiring. So I'd like to stay local and jump to the administration level.
Love Ticonderoga. Just love that area. Very historic, very beautiful, right on Lake Champlain. Very nice. Pleasure to meet you, Megan. Nicholas, tell us about yourself.
Hi, Professor. It's good to see you again.
You too, sir.
And I've worked with probably half of you guys over the last 4 semesters, so it's good to see all of you too. I'm working in Western New York. I live in East Amherst. It's about half an hour north of Buffalo. I've been to the Corn Festival. Great place to get barbecue and let the kids play on the tractors. Let's see. I work at the Summit Center as an educational coordinator. The Summit Center is a self-contained special education school for kids with severe disabilities, mostly autism. So I'm an educational coordinator there. I taught there for at least 5 years. And I really, I'm working with a lot of curriculum now and professional development. I get to work with teachers on, on their personal development, and that's the stuff that I really love. So I'm not saying if I didn't see another position that, like where I was using similar school skills that I wouldn't take it, but right now I'm really happy where I'm at. But I'm excited to get the certificate because it's what I need to stay in my job. And this is my fourth Well, no, this is my 5th semester, and I've only got the internships left after this one.
You know, Nicholas, that makes me think perspective is everything. Whenever we think that we've got it bad, we just need to look around the corner or down the block. So when we think about regular education children who've been denied their opportunity to be in school, it's hard not to think about the special education kids who get along with so many more supports under normal circumstances. And that rug has been pulled out from underneath them. And it's just hard to imagine how those kids are coping and their parents, et cetera. So good luck with your work. And speaking of special ed students and special ed teachers, Nicole, tell us about yourself.
Hi, I'm Nicole Leslie. I live in Lockport, New York. I am a special education teacher for Orleans Niagara BOCES. I have been teaching 11 years. I started off at Niagara Falls High School, which was the greatest experience ever. Then I moved to Newfane Learning Center and am currently working at North Tonawanda Learning Center. I recently decided to switch from the CDL program to the full master's program last week, last minute decision, to be able to have more options in the long run by having both the CBL and CDL. I just started interning with the superintendent of Wilson Schools. Today was the first day of that, so I will be working hard this summer.
It sounds like you will, Nicole. Very good. Good placement for you. And you're about to learn a lot, given all the planning.
Yeah, day one, I was already given a lot of information and projects to already start working on, and he handed me 3 books to start reading.
It starts, it never stops. Very good, Nicole. Good to see you, and I'm glad that you're progressing nicely with your program. Sarah, good problem solver tonight. Look at you. Audio, video. Good for you. Sarah, tell us about yourself.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So obviously my name's Sarah Jurgens. First off, I do want to apologize. I don't know what sound y'all heard in the beginning, but I just want to apologize if it was like disturbing to the class. I've never had that issue, and I did, like I said earlier, I had a class on my computer for my students and it worked fine. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm on a different computer now. So hopefully I can, everything works out for the rest of class. So I'm from Buffalo, New York, Cheektowaga area. I taught at the Stanley G. Falk School for 2 years. And then I got my original master's degree in special ed from Niagara. And after that, I decided to move to Charleston, South Carolina, where I live now. I'm a special ed resource teacher at the high school level on a pretty rural island out here called Johns Island. Before that, last year, I taught 8th grade English at a school in a different town about 20 minutes away. Our district is very large down here, so there's a lot of different schools that you can kind of choose from, but I really like where I'm at right now, and I love my position. I'm a student activities director at my school, so I've been working with our administration to plan for our graduation as soon as we can have it. We've been planning our virtual graduation, and we've been really trying to keep up with our social media this year, which I've been a part of, which has been really fun. So next year I'll be continuing special ed resource at the same school, and I'm hoping to start my internship in the fall with my building principal, depending on everything going on with the coronavirus.
That sounds very exotic, Sarah, being on an island off the coast of South Carolina. How many miles off the coast are you?
It takes me about, I would say we're about like 6-7 miles off the coast, I think. My boyfriend's giving me directions. Mileage, I don't know. We're about 18 minutes from the beach, so we're definitely close. And there's a lot of rivers around us on this island. I don't know, how many miles would you say?
Is it a self-sustaining island? I mean, are there gasoline and shops and roads? Or
Yeah. It's not that rural. It's a very large island, actually. It's about 10 minutes from downtown, I would say. It's surrounded by a lot of different types of water. It's not necessarily it is right on the ocean, but it's an interesting it's an interesting environment down here. But it's really nice, and it's really up and coming. We're building a house right now, a couple minutes away from where our apartment is. I wish I could have taken this class in that house where I actually have my own space, because I'm in a small apartment right now. So we're kind of on top of each other around here, but we're making it work.
And obviously you've got internet connection there too, so it must be a sizable population on the island.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Still very exotic. Thanks, Sarah. Nice to meet you. And Victoria, nice to see you again. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm currently in Nassau County on Long Island, but I work at Bayshore High School in Suffolk County. I teach sheltered ENL social studies, mostly grades 9, 11, and 12. And I also teach PM School, which is an alternative program for students who are deemed not fit for traditional school, so it's a nighttime program. As for future plans, I have no idea. I feel like it changes like every month. I know I really want to work one-on-one with students, so maybe as a director of ENL, because it's something I'm so passionate about, or assistant principal, but I honestly have no idea.
Annie, you don't have to. You don't have to. You just can just follow your nose and see where it takes you. Pleasure to see you again, Victoria. Thanks. We have one person who's supposed to be with us who's not, so we won't call that name out. I don't see her on the left-hand side either. So thank you for those introductions. And we're all across the state, and actually we're all across the Eastern Seaboard now this year too. And that's a good thing. Diversity is good. However, gentlemen, do you still notice the trend in these classes? Meaning we're in a distinct minority, gentlemen. This has been a trend I've noticing for quite some time. And I think it bodes well for the field, Ed and Mint in particular. And it won't color anything we do here in class. Won't be leaning one way or the other, but it's just an interesting fact that for the past 3 or 4 years, this demographic tends to be the standard in all of my classes, at least. So good luck to all of you as you pursue your careers in education at the higher level. So now at 5:39, let's move along. Communication protocols, how this class runs. Active participation in class is required, meaning sometimes I'll ask you to raise your hand. Sometimes I'll ask you, just out of the blue, I'll ask you a question. I try to keep you engaged. That's a testament to my question asking skills, actually. Sometimes we just put things in the chat box. I've gotten so I can keep an eye on the chat box as well. So if you want to put comments there too, you can. Audio and video integrity is a must. Most frequent offenses are side conversations, checking devices. However, someone emailed me, someone from the other class, by side conversations, I don't mean if your little one jumps on your knee or something like that. That's okay. But I'm kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. If I notice you're having a side conversation, I'll call you on it. I'll give you a little bit of chance to get it over with, because I know your husband's around the corner, or your wife is around the corner, your significant other's asking you a question. That's okay. But when I see someone spending a good amount of time looking over here, well, you're going to hear from me. Sorry if I embarrass you, but you wouldn't do it in the face-to-face class. I wouldn't expect you to do it here too. All right. This is something someone tried a couple semesters ago. Participating in class while driving on the highway. It's no good. I won't have it. You can do it if you want, but I'll simply count you as absent. I will not be responsible for someone who's silly enough to drive and try to participate in class. That's just not going to cut it. So you might as well not even do it, because you're going to be considered absent. Everybody's got an attorney, and that's all I've got to do is hear that someone got in an accident because Chuck Rinaldi called my name during class. You are allowed to have and be absent from class, but only one is excused without a penalty. If you get to the second or the third, then you will lose 3 points for every missed absence. Every attendance here costs 3 points. All right. It doesn't mean that even if you have to take it, I won't be angry with you if you happen to miss a class. Things happen. I understand that, but I can't. If Alicia's got perfect attendance and Megan is missing 3 classes, I can't, to be fair, not penalize Megan 6 points for that. while Alicia, who's been good and been in every class, is getting the same. So just out of issue of fairness, and it's in the syllabus, and I'm telling you now, that's how I handle absences. But do let me know, just as a courtesy, that you won't be coming into class, okay? I say Canvas is a work in progress, meaning that even though I've taught almost all these courses more than one semester, I change things every time. So I don't have everything posted in Canvas except what you need to get started. The syllabus, the calendar, the major assignments, etc. What I'll do here is every week when I prepare the agenda, I'll send it to you via email, and then I'll post it in Canvas. And also, I don't use the grade book. I simply communicate to you. All right, we're going to talk about reflections later. Unless I tell you to do something over in a reflection, you're getting the credit for the reflection, three points, all right? Later, I'll talk to you about your opportunities to redo something, a major assignment. And when you finally get it right, I will say full credit awarded. And then, as Betsy knows, and Debbie and Victoria, about 4 weeks left to go in the course, I'll notify you I'll give you a status report on your assignments, because sometimes one gets missed in transit, and I will communicate as to whether or not you've got everything done, so that you don't get caught short at the very end of the semester. And I say to you, well, you're missing X, Y, Z. No, I let you know ahead of time where you stand, okay? I don't use Gmail anymore because Niagara, once they got hacked, remember that hack about 4 months ago? They went to Gmail. So I don't use my private Gmail any longer. I just use the Niagara account. So just send me everything, all your assignments, to my Niagara address. I'm going to create a Google Share folder for you and me. Not for us, but for you and me individually. When you finish an assignment, and grad students are so bad at listening sometimes. Listen to me well. I'll say it again many times. Send me the original document to my Niagara account. That's easy. Send me the original document. Don't put it in the share folder. Don't send me a PDF. Just send me the original file. If it's a Word file, send me the doc. If it's an Excel file, send me the Excel file. If it's a PowerPoint file, send me the PowerPoint. Just send me the original file. All right? And if I had you redo something to get full credit, when that happens, again, send me the second draft original file. Don't make the changes in the share folder. Selfishly, it's just easier for me if I get a clean original document each time. So your folder will be there. I will put your work there after I'm done with it. I will put it there. You can go get it there. But you're always sending me your original document, even your original second draft, to my Gmail, to my Niagara Gmail account. That's simple. That's all I want you to do. All right?
Professor, I have a question on that.
Please.
So I use like Apple stuff for my schoolwork, like Pages. So like if I'm working in Pages, should I just export it as a Word document, like the DOC format?
I never had anyone send me something in Pages. I don't mind if you want to try it, Nicholas.
Okay.
But the easy answer would be if you don't mind converting it, that would work just as well.
Okay, I can convert it. I wasn't sure.
I work on a Mac here. I don't use Pages, but go ahead.
Okay.
All right. We can always experiment, Nick, and see how it works. I'm presuming you all are working in Excel or the equivalent, Excel, PowerPoint, or Word, right? Because the assignment you're going to find out momentarily will require you to work in all three. As far as breaks go, take it when you need it. You need to go get a cup of coffee, take it. If you need to let the dog in, don't worry about it. Just do that. But I'm talking about take care of your errand and come back. We're not talking about 10-minute breaks here. Okay? Oh, by the way, when I say someplace I set up here, send it to me in memo format, I'm just meaning this, so that it's a little bit of practice for you, because memo format is what professionals in the field use. So it's a little bit of practice for you, but it's going to have your name on it. That's important. Don't send me something without your name. It happens too often. Put the date on it, and just give me a regarding, an RE line, so that I know what it is you're sending me. That happens to be a reflection, a web article for another class. But I'm just asking that you send me that. However, that's for the let me go at this way. You're gonna have to send me an Excel spreadsheet later on and a PowerPoint. That doesn't have to come in memo format. But your reflections, for instance, should come to me in memo format. But always make sure you put your name on it. Okay? So I'll create, I haven't done this yet, but I create an individual share folder for you and me, just you and I. Set up an Niagara account. I'll download the comment, I'll make comments, share it with you. Don't edit the shared version. If you have to do it a second time, send me the original. That place. Okay, I went over this. Got it? Any questions? Okay, thank you for your tolerance with that. Here is our calendar. 12 weeks, straight through. We don't have any holidays that break it up. That's in Canvas if you need it as well. I go over this, but I'm going to do it very quickly this time. We spend a lot of time talking about leadership in this field, and others have heard me say this before. Yes, you have to learn how to be a leader, but you first have to learn how to get things done. So I don't spend a lot of time talking about leadership. I do spend a lot of time talking about how to get things done, how to do your jobs. Because people will follow you if you will be successful and if they know that you know how to get things done. So I take a very practical approach to these courses. We will introduce at times theory, but it's more about practice. Going back to my experience, so that when you enter a building in your first year and they give you the keys to the car, you know how to drive the darn thing. All right? I spend a lot of time doing the basics about basic information knowledge base. All right? And also skills practice. I try very hard to structure the assignments in such a way that they prove to me that you have paid attention to the content, but that there's also an application to what you're soon to be doing in your future jobs, if not your current job. So assignments are a way of being practical, job-oriented, skills-oriented, but also from a very practical perspective, evidence that I can hold, my way of holding you accountable for what we've gone over in class. Okay? Not meaning to date myself too much, I still adhere to Bloom's taxonomy. In this course, we're not going to be up here creating, evaluating, analyzing. We're going to be down here. All right? Talking about the basics. Knowledge, understanding, and then some application in the assignments. This is where we're going to live, in this bottom triangle. Teaching learning is about changing knowledge, skills, and attitudes. I'll work to add new knowledge to your knowledge base and help you practice requisite management skills, but you have to bring the attitude. Frankly, the simple fact that you've made it this far means you have the right stuff. You've got the right attitude, all right? And we'll see if we can't sharpen that attitude just a little bit more as we move forward. Yeah, I have to teach to standards. It's a good thing. All of you are teachers or have been teachers. You know how important standards are as the building block for what we do. We're actually going to have an assignment later, the capstone assignment, which is based upon this premise that we have to start with something, we have to start with standards. The standards for this program here at NU, actually all ed admin programs, come from the National Policy Board for Education Administration, NELP standards, CAPE standards, etc. Here are the standards which have been allotted, allocated, apportioned to 650 by the folks over at this education department at NU. We're going to be talking about professional dispositions and norms, modeling ethical behavior, equitable access, extremely important, culturally responsive, district-wide support systems, district advocacy, collaborative governance, district communication. These pop up in other courses I teach. Apologies to those of you who had me before. I try to keep it different each time. I may have to stumble a little bit into things we've done before, but I've tried not to. Try to take it to a different level. But we might just crisscross into some of these other topics. If I can avoid it, I will. To give you context again for all this, let me bear with me as I go through quickly the standards that I will be teaching to, because each session is devoted to these standards. As they're written, you're expected to understand and demonstrate the capability to, and that's really hard to get, frankly, demonstrating the capability to. That's where the assignments come in. But reflect on, communicate about, and cultivate professional dispositions and norms around equity, fairness, integrity, transparency, trust, collaboration, perseverance, reflection, lifelong learning, and digital citizenship. I have to ask this question. Why, in particular, do you think the folks who write these standards focused on equity, fairness, integrity, transparency, trust, collaboration, perseverance, reflection, lifelong learning, and digital citizenship? Why might they have done that? Why those? Let me break that down. How about digital citizenship?
I was going to say because those are required qualities of school district leaders.
Exactly, Sarah, they are. And then we introduce some 21st century skills as well, right? When we get into digital citizenship. Sarah, you want to stay with that? What do they mean? Why do they pick digital citizenship?
I mean, I think that's something that's kind of up and coming with social media, just being really aware of your presence online.
Exactly. Thank you. So professional dispositions norms, we'll spend time with that. Model ethical behavior in their personal conduct and relationships, and to cultivate ethical behavior in others. I'll be teaching this in the breach, so to speak. We'll look at people who did not do this. To give you an example of how silly people can be, the word is actually stupid, and how we're all paying the price today for some of their behavior. So we'll teach it by going at the negative to warn you about how not to be. How about evaluate, cultivate, and advocate for equitable access to safe and nurturing schools and the opportunities and resources, including instructional materials, technology, classrooms, etc. Are we in the midst of an equity issue, equity challenge right now? What would that be, Matthew, Laurie?
I think a lot of it has to do with people having access to the internet and all the different platforms that we're using to provide online instruction. Everybody has a different background and situation that makes it really inequitable, really.
Right. Very good, Matthew. You big city folks tend to have a little better handle on equity issues because of the fight city schools have had over the years to get equitable resources for their kids. Those of us who work in little teeny rural school districts, you recognize it as well, Ticonderoga, right? Because you look. For instance, you look in a suburban school district like Glens Falls, right, Megan? And you look like all that they have and the kids have in Glens Falls, because it's a richer community. And I think we're going to spend quite a bit of time on equity and access, because it's extremely important, and in some respects it's being lost in the argument. Yes, Deborah?
Sorry, I was unmuting. But we are seeing a lot of inequity in the access to the devices and the internet, and they figure at least 25 to 30% of the kids never logged in.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, there's inequities regarding who's bringing us up. If you've got a mother and dad who are working at home and they've got college degrees and they're your tutors, and then you've got maybe a single mom in the household and she's got a GED and she's your tutor, there's a lot of inequity. I don't know. It's going to take us some time to dig ourselves out. We've got a generation of kids who have lost at least a half a year. It's not like that's just going to flick on and they're going to be okay. So thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Matt, for that. That's exactly what we're talking about. How about evaluate, advocate, and cultivate equitable, inclusive, and culturally responsive instructional behavior support practices among teachers and staff? What's happening what's going on regarding the demographics of our big cities, our coastal cities, our villages and our towns, our school districts along the southern border? Victoria, what's happening with the demographics in this country?
Well, I can speak from my own personal experience. Being on Long Island, we've had a really large influx of immigrants from the Northern Triangle, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, that area, which is kind of shifting the demographics of our school. So Bayshore, like 10 years ago, was majority white. Now it's majority Hispanic, and that's happening in a lot of cities, especially on the East Coast and the Southern Coast.
Yeah, and exactly, Victoria, when you look into it, it's quite shocking, as my 631 students know from last semester when we talked about the trends and a new term I learned, the majority minority, meaning a minority nationwide that now has become the majority in some of our metropolitan areas. And that's just happened like within the last 5 years. Brown-skinned children are still a minority nationwide, but in larger metropolitan areas, they are now the majority. That's a dramatic shift. Also contributing to a lot of the politics in this country these days too, that dramatic shift in the demographics. Good, Victoria, thank you for bringing that up.
Can I get on to that?
Someone's speaking to me, Sarah. What's that, Sarah?
Oh, I was just going to say I have a similar concern about an ENL student that I have at my school who just graduated. She, before we closed school, I was working with her to fill out her FAFSA application to go to college, and she could not fill it out because it's obviously inappropriate to ask if they're a citizen, so you can't ask that. But trying to help her through her father's tax documents was so challenging even for me as an adult, as somebody who's done the FAFSA for a very long time. I'm obviously not an ENL student. So what was happening was there was differences in the documents that she had where her father had a tax ID number, but had a different citizenship number, and she was not able to fill out her FAFSA. When I saw her recently at our senior pickup day for cap and gown, she said that she was able to use her mom's, number because she doesn't complete her taxes. But it just kind of opened my eyes to realize they really don't necessarily have equal opportunity, even if we think so.
That's right, Sarah. And then there's the other phenomena, which is many immigrants, whether they be documented or undocumented, have a paranoia about giving up information for fear of notifying the authorities, which might result in an ICE officer showing up at their door. So yeah, there's a lot of issues related to that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to look at the demographics. I have an assignment for that. It's a simple assignment. We'll talk about it in a moment. It's already 6:01. Oh, boy. Okay, thank you, Sarah. District-wide support. Design, implement, and evaluate district-wide use of coherent systems, curriculum instruction assessment, student support services, technology, instructional resources that support the needs of each student in the district. That's the capstone assignment, is associated with 4.4. I'll explain it momentarily, all right? Represent the district, advocate for district needs, and cultivate a respectful and responsive relationship with the district's Board of Education. We're going to talk about that. My good friend Carl Christoph. None of you know Carl Christoph, do you? Oh yeah, Betsy does know Carl because is he still your attorney, Betsy?
As far as I know, I haven't heard any different, so I'm expecting he's still there.
Well, I asked because of his age.
Yeah, no, he's still there.
Have you ever been in his presence?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
He's a very nice man. He's very kind.
he sure is.
Mm-hmm.
But don't cross him, Betsy.
Oh no, I wouldn't do that.
He's too good at what he does. He's an attorney. He's one of the best in the East.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honored to call him a friend. I videotaped Carl before he went to Rochester, and I have Carl doing his presentation on school board superintendent relationships. No one does it better than Carl. You'll get a chance to see what I'm talking about later. Collaborative governance, I'm going to move through this a little quickly, and district communication. Frankly, I think district communication, I'm going to have to cram some things together. 12 weeks is still not enough. I think I'm going to be, if anything's going to lose out, it's going to be around district communication. We may find ourselves backed up on the tarmac here with planes trying to take off, and I may squeeze out district communication to try to get some other things in there. Are there any things in particular that you would like to learn? Because if I can, I'll try to squeeze some topics in. Please, Kim.
You know, it's interesting for me. I did look at his name is Carl.
Yes.
I had looked at his video and I found it really interesting, very informative, very fact-based, but I'm sure that none of the other students are in this boat. But because I didn't think I was going to do the district level classes, I have no district level classes under me. I have all SBL classes under me. So one of the things I began to learn by looking at his video was just simple things that other people may already know about the structure of districts. And, you know, he made some points about, you know, the role of a superintendent versus the Board of Education, some legal things that I didn't know. So, you know, I guess just stuff sort of like that, you know, some basic issues along the lines of what he brought up.
Yeah, that's a good point, Kimberly, and I'll try to remember to do that. What he's talking about there is codified in education law.
Yeah.
Central school districts, union-free school districts, city school districts less than 25,000 residents, city school districts greater than 25,000, common school districts, those are all codified in education law, and that's where superintendents get their legal duties, and that's where boards get their duties and responsibilities. I'll try to remember to put that into that lesson so that you know that. Because, you know, Kim, for the longest time, I didn't know why we were called the Central School District. That's basic. It's in the law. I'll teach you what someone didn't teach me.
Great.
Or I didn't have enough common sense to go look for myself. Okay, thanks, Kim. Anything else people would like to have me squeeze in here? All right. So this is a front page of the syllabus. You can find this in Canvas. In there is all the, what I'm going over today is what's in there that's the most important stuff. All right. So here are my weekly lesson plans. Here's what we're doing tonight. In a moment, I'm going to go over the major assignments. All right. So I'm going to skip through this really quickly. Next week, we're going to deal with the standard 2.1, professional dispositions and norms. I like to spend a lot of time defining the terms so that we have a common understanding. We know what we're talking about. We aren't making any assumptions. So make sure that we're defining our terms. We're going to look at the ASP Code of Ethics, all right, to show you what's expected in the field. Discuss how each can be tested and compromised in an educational setting. This is where we're going to talk about people who disobeyed the ethics laws and give you some good examples from New York State. I can't tell you about too many that I know privately. Only those that made it into the newspaper am I willing to share with you. Because let's not forget, I am recording. We'll talk about case studies for actual incidents, and then how to promote a productive, equitable, and effective district along these norms. Session 3, because there's so much here, I'm going to stay with modeling ethical behavior and dispositions of norms, and I'm going to talk about surveys, talk about building organizational culture, ethical practices, ethical behavior. June 4th, June 16th. Do be prepared on June 16th to have read the article, the web article from the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. It's a really good, relatively short overview of the history of inequity and equity and access in the good old US of A. And I want you to be prepared because I'm going to ask some pointed questions of you to see if you read it. You also have to send me a reflection on that too. All right, we're going to look at a video by Kozel, et cetera, et cetera. Then we move into 3.2. Notice how they're kind of related. Now we're into equitable access. Is anyone familiar with this? Anyone know what the CFE case is in New York? CFE case? I won't go into it right now. The Campaign for Fiscal Equity case, you should know about it as you enter the field. It's extremely important. We're still benefiting and suffering from it today. All right, it's New York's version of Brown versus Board of Education, you might say. All right, and it's a financial case. I'll spend time with it. Anyone read the article that appeared about 2 years ago in HuffPost? Student success comes down to zip code, based upon the research. Yeah, Kimberly, you read it. Came down to your zip code. You want to know who's going to be successful? Allison, right? You read it.
That was a great article. It really was.
Came
It was
down to
very eye-opening, I think.
what neighborhood you comes from makes a big difference. All right. We'll look at the Brookings Institution. And, locally, you all know about the Business First annual reporting on school results. That's a good example of inequities being used to sell real estate. My cynical way of looking at it. All right, we're going to spend some time with that. I wonder what they're going to do this year to sell their magazine in May. They won't have any. There won't be any rankings, will they, Allison? What are they going to base it on? No tests. Jeez. Scott Thomas won't have anything to boost his readership.
Whoever had the best scores in before coronavirus hit, whatever. Oh, you mean, but there's the state test. Never mind.
You trailed off a little there, my friend.
Never mind. I was thinking out loud.
Oh, always dangerous. I do that. Always dangerous. All right. Business first, to make the point. Then we're going to stay with this equitable access, and I'm going to take equitable access from the theoretical into the practical. And if you're not familiar with New York State aid and how it's distributed, I'm going to give you the first peek at the very base level as to how that works. And I've got an assignment in there for you as well. I also, I don't imagine any of you know a gentleman by the name of Dr. Rick Timms. Rick Timms used to be my boss. He was a BOCES superintendent out here. He's now the director of the Statewide School Finance Consortium. He was a guest speaker 2 semesters ago. Oh, Betsy, you know Rick? Okay, so he was.
I took school finance with Dr. Mills, and I read something that he wrote.
Okay, good. And I interviewed him in 650 2 semesters ago, Betsy. I saved the recording. I've got him on film. I'm going to edit it down to its distilled essential elements, so to speak. I won't invite Dr. Timms to come in, but I'll have the more germane points of his video available, and we'll take a look at that because he does a very good job talking about equitable access of resources in New York State. Session 6, culturally responsive. Gonna look at demographic data. Session 7, stay with this, look at more demographic data. Session 8, district-wide support systems. Now here's a good example of why I do the major assignments tonight. Because if I were to wait till July 14th in session 8, introduce the topic then and then talk to you about the assignment, that would not be fair. You would only have, what, 4 more weeks to get it done? That's not fair. So the reason I talk about the assignments tonight is to give you a head start. But this is where it's going to come up. This is where we will talk about it. Session 9, district advocacy. I find it necessary to talk to graduate students about our constitutional form of, well, let me back up. Advocacy is a question about what you're advocating for, on behalf of whom, who you had to advocate to, and usually at the central office level, superintendent in particular, it has to do with legislation. So you need to know how our system works. And I hate to say that some schools these days, we're not doing a very good job teaching civics. And so I go back to the basics and talk about civics and laws and where to find the laws. It's a real good class for finding out where the laws are and where the regulations are. I don't expect you to know them, but I do expect when you're done here to know where to find them quickly. All right? When I was your age, we had a book, school law book. Still used, great resource, but these days you can go to Cornell University Legal Information Institute and find everything you need. And I'll show you how to use that and how to advocate. Session 10, collaborative governance, really, really important. Lack of collaborative governance, especially regarding your work with the school board, will be your demise if you don't know how to do it well. There's a lot of lessons I should have learned before I had my first superintendency. All right, things I wish I'd known about getting married. Not to women, getting married to a school board and how you need to do your homework. All right, we'll talk about that in session 10. And we'll pay attention to we'll pay attention to Carl Christoph, who says it best. Session 11, more about collaborative governance. Betsy, Nicole, here's where you're going to see a little bit of repetition. Try to avoid it. I'll probably use the Colorado School Boards again, all right, because it's just so good when talking about collaborative governance. I hope you'll excuse me if I dip back into the well. And session 12, district communication. All right, so it's 6:15. Any questions? Probably not. Any questions about what I just went over? Sorry that it's so much Chucky talk. No, I can't make that work. Okay, here is, let me just refer to this as grading made. Every time I grab it and try to move it over, okay, that time it's stuck. Here's your 12 classes times 3 points, 36 points. Here, I'm only asking you to do 3 reflections. All right? 3 points apiece. Like I said earlier, please be prepared. I want to see your reflection by 6:16 in particular. These reflections matter because the class that is scheduled here, 6:16, 6:23, and 7:28, that's when I'm going to talk about those things. So I want you to get your reflections into me by that time. Otherwise, you're going to be a little bit embarrassed when I call on you from something from the reading or viewing Carl's video, and you don't know what I'm talking about. And I'll have no sympathy for you either. All right? Then notice the 4 major assignments, those you can get to me on the last class. You have all that time to get them in. I have a slide on it later, but you're allowed this. We're working towards mastery here. All right. You can keep redoing something until you get it right or you give up. Now, notice, if you have an assignment that's due, you get the first one to me on the 10th of August, and you have to do a redo, well, your delay does not constitute an emergency on my part. If you don't give me enough time to comment and get it back to you, then that's your problem. If you get it to me early enough, you can do it as much as it takes to get it done. And that happens a lot. Rarely does someone get it right the first time. Some people do. I'm looking at a couple of you out there and I'm remembering, yeah, they got it right the first time, and that's good. But the majority of you need to do it more than one time. Let me give you a tip, if I can, from previous classes. Listen. People, not just grad students, people don't listen very well. All right? And before you ask me, go back and look at what I've said in a recorded session. Because people make sometimes the silliest mistakes when I know that I've said do this or that. So listen. Right? Let me pick on Christy. Christy, where do I want you to send me your assignments?
Send them to your Niagara email address.
Excellent, Christy. And Alicia, in what format?
The original format.
Excellent, Alicia. And Christy get extra points because they listened well, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to go over these assignments. Notice one's worth 16, one's worth 9, one's worth 6, one's worth 24. This capstone assessment, I'll go into detail in just a moment because we're going to go over the major assignments so that you get a head start. So I want you to visit the NYSAD Office of State Aid and provide an Excel spreadsheet and a PowerPoint report on the prescribed fiscal factor for a school district of your choice. Here's what you need to know. Here's the standard equitable access. Here's the format. It's going to be an Excel spreadsheet and a PowerPoint presentation because what's going to be in the PowerPoint is going to come from Excel. It is preferred that the district under consideration be the district where you're employed or a district where the student resides. You're going to have to pick a New York State district. Bless you, Victoria. But that's easy, Christy. That's easy, Jenna or Sarah, because it's all public information. All right? And I'm going to show you how to do it in a moment. So pick a school district in New York State. The prescribed factors should include the state aid projections as addressed in class. I'm going to show you what those are. To be honest with you, it's relatively easy, especially when I walk you through it. You're going to compare the 1920, what's called base year aids, to the 2021 estimated aids. All right? Now, I hope between today and last week, they didn't change this web page. We're about to find out, all right? Because I understand that they've moved along with the budget. I'll show you what you need to do. The PowerPoint presentation will be based upon an Excel spreadsheet. So you're going to do the work in Excel and then copy paste it over into PowerPoint. That's all. It calculates the amount of the difference and the percentage change. You're looking at 1 year's worth of aid compared to another year's worth of aid. You're just going to calculate the difference. All right? And by doing that, it's my way of introducing you to the basics of state aid calculations in New York State. Every superintendent does it. Drools over it, waiting to get it every late January, early February. It's the start of the budget process. You're going to learn what they're looking at. It's due on the 11th, all right? Why am I having you do this? Because we're talking about equitable access. And I want you to have the basic understanding of how state aid works, all right? One of your responsibilities is to maximize revenue. And that means you have to have competence in this very basic comparison I'm about to show you. You know that New York State school district revenue comes from property taxes, right? And state aid. So the state aid number really matters. Mastering the complexity of state aid funding formulae, if you took Latin, you know that's the plural of formulas, is a primary function of central office. Superintendent school business. This is your state aid primer. How to read, they're called output reports. Anyone ever read an output report? Anyone know what an output report is? Okay, you're about to be smarter between now and August 11th. Let's go here now. I put the link in, it's the first link in the chat box. I've got it on the screen here too, but I'll walk you through it. So let's go to nysad.gov. I'm going to take you right to the state aid website. You see it? You see up on the top left, view district data. Type the name of the school district you want to examine. Its legal name. All right, type the legal name up there. I'll put my old school district. Actually, you know what I should do? No, maybe I won't. Let's see if I don't have to do that. You're going to get another screen which has a URL that's going to take you to your school district. Flip back, if you would, to my presentation. See this screen? Are you looking at this screen right here? Go ahead, Sarah. Question?
I tried two different districts that I'm familiar with in Buffalo, and it says that there are no data records to display. I typed in for Cheektowaga Central School District. Is that not the legal name of it?
Is that Cheektowaga Sloan? Cheektowaga's got like 5 of them right there.
Yeah, where I went to high school, it's considered Cheektowaga Central School District. That's on their website. But I did try Williamsville Central School District as well, and it didn't. It said there are no data records to display for me.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's one I could use.
Well,
I just tried putting Niagara Falls in instead of City School District. So try just Cheektowaga in, because when I put Niagara Falls City School District in, it came up with records. When I changed it and just put Niagara Falls in, then it popped up.
Yeah, I see it. It says it's under Cheektowaga CSD. Thank you.
I put in Williamsville and it came up as Williamsville CSD.
Okay, thank you.
I looked at Nicholas, and he had that speaker over his head there. I thought he'd changed his hairdo real quickly. I didn't know who it was. I thought it was a different student. I'm not Josh. And you threw me off there a bit, Nicholas. So you should be looking at a screen like I'm looking at right here. Come back to the PowerPoint. See this screen here? Click on the state aid projections legislative budget.
So stuffy in there.
And you should come up with a screen that looks like this. Look at my PowerPoint. Let me see the thumbs up. Are you seeing a screen that looks like this here? Very good. Kimberly, you got this screen? Okay, very good. First of all, let's just take a look at what we're looking at. This is all you need. This is the document that you're going to use to complete the assignment. Everything you need is in that one document. This is called a state aid run. This is what superintendents and business officials go to once the governor releases his budget, and then in the process, the final approved budget as well. This is where they start. Do notice it's broken up into 2 years. Can you see it up on top? It says C note below. 1920 base year aids. And then notice it says 2021 estimated aids. Do you see the difference? All right. Keep that in your mind. This is the document that you need. You might as well print it out now. You can't do anything with it. It's not interactive. It's a flat file. So it's a PDF. Print it now. You're almost done with the assignment. He lied. Christy.
Professor, my district, the number is the same between the 1920 base year aid and the 2021 estimated aid. That number
which means the superintendent is probably not very happy. They are for mine too. We're going to go over that. That's called, what that is a flat aid increase. Nothing. Why would that be, Christy? COVID. Okay. And this is a bit of an anomaly year to look at, but it's good that we're going to look at this, all right? Frankly. So print it out, keep it, put it aside, you're going to need it. Now I want you to see what I've done with it and what you will have to do with it. Now, remember, this came from the assignment. You're going to have an Excel spreadsheet and a PowerPoint presentation. I want you to calculate the amount of the difference and the percent change. Let me show you. That's going to have to be done in the Excel spreadsheet. I'm looking for one Excel spreadsheet that looks like the following. Are you following my presentation? Here's what I want you to do. Basically, I want you to replicate what's on the screen right now. I've taken, I'm in Excel, and I've taken the 18, I'm sorry. Oh, I took this from the last 650. Correctly, I didn't mean to, but I did. But it doesn't matter. It's going to look the same way. Take the 1920. No, this is right. 1819 and 1920. The current school year, right here. And I want you to replicate it. What you have in your PDF, I want you to put it into an Excel spreadsheet. So here's the first part of it. Megan, you're giving me nods of the head like you're getting it, right, Megan? You can see what's going on here, right? You take an Excel and you're simply entering the text. No calculations here except the total, of course, would be the sum of all of these. And let me tell you this right now. If you don't know how to do Excel, I'll give you a private tutorial. I won't take the time now, but I could meet with you and share a screen, and I could show you how to do this. I would never make you do something that you didn't know how. I'm supposed to be a teacher. They pay me to teach. So if you need a lesson in Excel, let me know. But don't forget, YouTube is a pretty good teacher these days too. So break up half of what's on that sheet and turn it into this. By the way, Betsy and Nicole, remember we were talking, someone talked about community set-aside money, didn't they, in our class? There it is right there, the community set-aside for community schools. Then here's the second part. You take the second half, the 1920. Oh no, this is last year's. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. Forget the years. You're still going to do the same thing. This would be the 2021 estimated aids. And you replicate that. All right? How do you check your work? By making sure that the numbers you get, like this number here, 19059448, making sure that number matches the number on your sheet. So this rectangle is simply a duplication in Excel of the first part of the output report. This, well, it's more like a square. This square is the second half of what's on the sheet. Simply enter the numbers. All right. You're gonna have a few issues here getting these numbers down here to work right. Because notice they had a subtotal. You know what a subtotal is? Subtotal is everything above it. And then they put in a federal CARES restoration. Oh, I know what I did. Oh, the only thing I did here is I didn't change the years. The numbers are this year's, but I didn't change the years up on top. That's all I did. So here's the federal CARES restoration. And then you get the total, and the community set aside is not part of the totals. Here's what I want you to do. Then you've got to put these formula. It's simply this minus this. And then copy that formula all the way down. So the last time I had 650, people tried to simply enter the numbers here. I don't want the numbers. I want the formulas. If you enter the numbers here, I'll send it back to you. I want the formulas. If you just give me the numbers here and not the formulas, I'll send it back to you. I want the formulas. These numbers down here, I want the formula, not the numbers. I will spend some time talking about what these things mean, what these aid categories mean, and especially when we talk about the CFE case, I'll talk to you about the foundation aid formulas, etc., and how that works. But I just want you, I want you to prove to me that you've gone and looked at this and manipulated it. All right, done something with it, done what a business manager would do at the very basic level. This is basic math. All right, basic math. So
Can
that
I ask
means,
a question?
please do.
Where you have the formula, you have the $ CHG, the percentage. You want that to appear as well, or is that just some comments for us?
No, I want that to appear. Your final product, Deb, should look like this here. Should look like this. I'm spoon feeding it in a way of saying, Debbie, you just have to replicate what's on the screen. Okay?
Okay.
Thanks very much. Now, that's the first part of the assignment. Then the premise here is that you're doing a presentation to your school board. It's early January. You just got, or it's early February, you just got your state aid runs. You want them to know what's going on. So this is what you do. You do this. And you can see why I put it side by side, can't you? Just so you could see everything's on the horizontal. All right. So once you did your calculations, then you have a PowerPoint. 3 slides. Your cover slide, put your name on it, your cover slide. A copy of your Excel spreadsheet. Simply copy and paste. All right? Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot. That's what I did, by the way, here. That's a screenshot. This would be slide number 2 in your presentation. Slide number 2. Proper title, Y-axis properly labeled, X-axis properly labeled, to help people in the back of the room actually put, you don't have to, but it help if you put the values right in the middle so people can see the amounts. All right? You need, replicate my work at 6:35. I better get going. Replicate my work. That's what I want you to do. And the third slide. Okay, well, that was I just showed you. So it's a cover slide, a copy of the Excel spreadsheet, copy and paste, and the bar graph. So here's the first slide, cover slide. Here's a picture of the second slide, screenshot, and then I charted that. How did I get the chart? Elsewhere on that spreadsheet, I simply took the totals and put them up here. Because you're going to need this table here to produce the bar graphs. You can't get a clean bar graph off of this. Any of you who work with Excel know that.
Professor, can it be different pages on the bottom of Excel? So like the first page is what you're showing now, and then the second page on the Excel is the bar graph?
Yeah. So the first slide is the cover slide, Jolene. Okay.
No, I'm asking about the Excel. In Excel, you know how at the bottom there's like page 1, page 2, or do you want it all on one page in Excel?
All on one page.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Excel spreadsheet, you're looking right now, Jolene, at the Excel spreadsheet. This is what I want to see. All right. And then in the PowerPoint, and you're gonna take a picture of it, Jolene, and then bring it over into the PowerPoint as well. So I want to see the Excel spreadsheet And this is what I want to see from the Excel spreadsheet. Then you're going to take a screenshot of it, and it's going to be slide 2 in the PowerPoint. And slide 3 in the PowerPoint is going to be this. Okay? And this is why we record the sessions, because you got it all right here. And here it is too, Jolene. Excel will include the actual journal entries, just what I showed you, and the PowerPoint. Name of the school district, your name, copy of the spreadsheet, and the bar graph showing the amounts. 3 slides. Make sure it's properly labeled and a proper title. That's what I'm looking for. Okay? Matthew?
Really quick, so when we submit this assignment to you, we have to submit 2 files, the Excel spreadsheet and the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for asking.
Hey, Professor, what were the 2, you had the difference, and then there was without the building, there were 2 more calculations at the bottom.
Yeah, they get a little bit confusing. Let me explain that, okay, Megan? Building aid varies from year to year. Sometimes you may get no building aid. Sometimes you're getting a whole lot of, depending on what you're building. So Albany doesn't want building aid to throw off the percentages and someone's to say, all of a sudden they don't get any more building aid because they're not due anymore. And it looks like their state aid went way down. That's no good. Or show that it went up by 30%. That's no good. So they tend to remove the building aid from the comparisons. So the first thing you're looking at is the percent change, all right? 1920, actually it should be 2021 minus 1920. I'm so sorry, I forgot to change those dates. All right? But these, if you look at your sheet, Megan, these numbers are on your sheet. You just have to make sure that you enter the right formula so that you get the same numbers. So all these numbers down here, Megan, these are coming off your sheet. Just make sure that you enter the right formula so that you get the very same ones. This is the column here, the K column, Megan, that's new, that's original. Okay? I hope I answered your question.
Not quite. So the two calculations at the very bottom, the percentage dollar change without building, so that would be the line that says building recording incentive. Would we have to calculate something else and take that line out of there?
No, just replicate here. I can't move this. Replicate, this is what's on the page that I gave you. Replicate it.
Okay.
Including these down here, Megan. They're on the sheet. I want you to replicate them. I want you to use the formulas. Don't just type the numbers in. I want the formulas. But they're coming off the sheet. Let me go back to it. Yeah, right here, right? See them down here?
Got it.
Yeah, now you see them, right? Very good. Okay, I need you to go back there so you can see it. So replicate that sheet. The only thing, I put them side by side. And then give me that new column K. The new column K. Because we want to see the aid category differences. I want to see the aid category differences. Because Christy picked up on one right away. Foundation aid, flat. Not good news, Christy. Not good news at all. Because that's the state aid category that has no strings attached. Like software, library, textbook, you have to spend it on those categories, right? Transportation, got to spend it on transportation. Foundation aid, it has no, it used to be called a non-categorical aid, Christy, and you could use it for whatever you want. Now now it's flat. So it basically means that you're not getting any aid increase, except for these are referred to over here, Christy, as expense-driven aids. As you spend, you will get aid. As we contract with BOCES, Christy, to get special ed services, staff development, XYZ, as we spend, we will get aid back. So everything underneath foundation aid tends to be referred to as expense-driven aids. If you expend, you will get aid in a typical year, Christy. And it's foundation aid, the one that this is what's going to hurt. Foundation aid, this is what's going to lead to all the layoffs. Because on a regular basis, just to do everything you're doing in the upcoming school year that you did the last year, that usually costs you between 3.5% to 5% to do everything that you're currently doing in the next year. Let's say 3%. So what's 3% of $14 million? You do the math. That's a lot of money to not be getting to run your program. Which is at the nub of the real dilemma that you're in right now. How are you going to, regarding the reopening, how are we going to afford the reopening is the real question superintendents are dealing with right now. I won't get into it. It's 6:43. Okay, Megan, good question. Others might have needed the same clarification. I'm glad that you asked. And this doesn't have to be the last time. Send me a note. If you need more help, I'd be happy to help you. No problem. Oh, no interpretation or analysis is required. Just send me the facts. Just send me the numbers and the K column with the calculations. That's what I want. You will have proved to me that you have some working knowledge of what state aid starts to look like. All right? And believe me, you will be very far ahead of the game just by doing this. All right, next assignment. This is an easy one. Culturally responsive curriculum. Well, I asked myself, how can I have them prove to me that they have a sensitivity to or an awareness of what culturally responsive curricula is? Well, go out into your districts and find something that is a curriculum that is culturally responsive. In Gowanda, we had Native Studies. In Buffalo, you have African American Studies. You might have a cooking class. You might have a constitutional law class. You might have a language a class. You might have something that's culturally responsive. Hip hop in the 21st century. The history of rock and roll. Something that's culturally responsive. But notice the assignment is to, I want to see evidence of it. So I want the title of the culturally responsive curriculum, the student subgroup for whom the curriculum is designed, and the grade levels in which the subject is taught, and the goals of the course. So just send it in a memo format. The title of the course, hip hop in the 21st century. Student subgroup, senior elective. I don't want to, it would be a generalization to say hip hop is just for African American students. It's not. All of our young kids like hip hop these days. All right. Grade levels, 12th grade. And the goals of the course, find out from the instructor. What are the goals of the course? Find me something that's culturally responsive. All right. It's usually going to be an elective, by the way. Although sometimes it's not. And Gowanda, because we had Native American students, we had permission from Albany to substitute Native Studies into the 12th grade half-unit courses in social studies that were required. All right. Allison?
So, just to confirm, it has to be for the students, because I know in Buffalo we have a lot of professional development for the teachers. Like we have a course like on that book, White Folk Who Teach in the Hood or something like that. So we have a lot of stuff like that geared towards the teachers. It has to be for the students.
Well, that's a good question, Allison. No, let's keep it towards the students. If I stick with the standard, there's an implied element to it that it's student learning. Very good question. I'm going to have to reconsider that for the next time, Allison. But if I stick with the standard, well, it does. Now, hang on. It does say among teachers and staff. Allison, you win the argument. It does say among teachers and staff. So I'll accept a culturally responsive curriculum, professional development that is directed towards staff as well. I love people who challenge me. Thank you, Allison. Very good. Christy?
For this assignment, is it okay to do my school in North Carolina as the basis for, okay.
Also a good question. Yes, that would be permissible. Sarah, you got that too, right? Okay, very good. That's due August 11th. That's an easy one. Just send it to me. That's a one-page document, actually, okay? Moving on. Here it is. The title of the culturally inclusive curriculum or course, demographic, the grade levels, and the express goals of the course. And we will abide by the Allison Lieber rule. Now, here's the capstone assignment. I sent you an additional piece of paper. Do you have it? It was the capstone survey. I'd like you to be able to reference it. I've got some pictures of it here. But here's what you have to do. Remember, this is associated with that standard about being able to lead and manage and align curriculum, instruction, assessment, technology, student support services, and instructional resources. This is what you have. Let me go here first to the rationale. Nah, let me not do that. Let me go through this first. Well, this is what I want to say about it. What you're looking at is a document that one could conceivably use, and I would recommend that you do use it as part of your entry plan if you're to enter a district. Say you're a building principal, you can use a building principal, but you're superintendent. You need to see what condition, what the organizational health of your district is in regarding its alignment of these essential elements: curriculum, instruction, assessment, student support services, and technology. So when I designed the assignment, I used it from that perspective. What do I wish I knew then that I know now? And that would be, I wish I'd known what questions to ask to find out where my new district is in terms of alignment, because alignment is so darn essential. And if I had a document like this, it would have structured my questions to my colleagues, and I would have fast-tracked my understanding of where we needed to go. Well, apparently Dr. Mills agreed, because when he looked at it, he said, that's great work. Can we use it for the capstone assessment? So he latched on to that survey. You'll do one thing for me, and then you'll have to do another thing for him as part of the program's capstone assessment. But here's the good thing about it. It's not busy work. It's really good stuff to do. And I'm going to train you how to do it. This would be done. You would interview a curriculum specialist in your district of your choice. Now, Christy and Sarah, it's predicated on the New York State standards and New York State rollouts. So you're going to have to interview someone virtually, all right, online, to get the answers. And I'm sure you both have connections, right? I hope you do, because I had to have some commonalities here. But Christy and Sarah, later on in your jobs in the Carolinas, you could easily adapt it, all right? Because it should be used as a survey tool to fast track you about where your district is in terms of those important essential elements. So you're to interview a curriculum specialist, primarily a curriculum specialist. If you're a little district, you don't have one. It could be a building principal who's been around a while and knows the answers to these questions. It might have to be more than one person, because you want to ask about the alignment of your district's curriculum, instruction, assessment, technology, and student support services. I'll show you in a minute. You're going to use that survey form to do this. You're going to complete the form, designed and made available. I've made it available to you. It's in Canvas right now. All right. The rubric, well, it's self-explanatory. Complete the survey. Okay. There's not a lot of contemporaneous writing. There are spaces for comments, but to be honest with you, there's a lot of honor system here and checking off the boxes. But Jim Mills has got me covered because his part of the capstone assessment is going to make you dig deeper. All right. This assignment is due August 11th. And this is what it looks like. I based it upon at least three things, all right? First of all, some of you I know are involved in this. Anyone involved with or know about the DTSDE, the Diagnostic Test of School District Effectiveness? Yeah, those of you whose school buildings are on a list in Albany are required to work with Albany to complete the DTSDE. The DTSDE is a survey of these types of things, all right? Subjects taught, the name of the curriculum, the grades served, number of students, demographic factors, et cetera, et cetera. All right, that's the DTSDE, used to delve into the factors that have contributed to the school being identified as complement support improvement or targeted school and improvement TSI school. Allison, you have a school in your district that is targeted?
Yes, but we're a school in good standing though. So it goes both ways, right? Schools that are that have needs, and then schools that also have like met all the standards, correct?
I don't know. That's a pretty specific question. I don't know.
Yeah, I work at Olmsted, so that's one of the schools the kids test into. So I'm pretty sure that like we're on the good half of that.
Yes, that makes sense of knowing what I know about Olmsted.
Yeah.
And I know there I think you have about 5 schools in the city of Buffalo right now that are still involved with the DTSDE process. So first of all, that's where this comes from. It's a self-reflection. It's an on-site needs assessment. I've just gone further with it. All right. So it's based upon DTSDE. It's also based upon my advanced notion of what an entry plan should look like. Entry plan being, once you get the job, what are you going to do in the first 3 to 6 months while you're in your honeymoon period? Well, entry plan typically involves making sure that you study data, then documents, and lastly, who you're going to meet and what are you going to ask them. Your entry plan is a written document that lays all that out. And I can very easily imagine that your entry plan should include this kind of a survey where you sit down in your new district with your team of administrators or with the curriculum specialist or whatever, and you ask these questions. Where are we? And you're going to see in a moment why these are so essential. All right? Also, I have a belief from my training at SUNY at Buffalo that a trained eye, quote unquote, can determine an aspect of the organizational health of a school district by examining the outward signs and examples, kind of like taking the temperature, if you will, of the extent to which curriculum, instruction, assessment, and student support services are aligned in practice and on a variety of media, paper primarily, all right? So this is the rationale for the development of this. Well, here's the entry plan. I just mentioned that. And here's organizational. Here's an important thing with organizational health. Look at here. One part of organizational health is the degree of organizational alignment. Does the organization know where it's going? Are the people within the organization aligned about that direction? That may sound simplistic, and no, it does, but in many organizations, that's not the case. You want to know if you've got 3 building principals, interview 3 building principals separately. around this survey and find out what answers you get from 3 different building principals. That's very telling, because they will not, only in an aligned district will they all give you the same answers. And that's going to tell you something right then and there. All right? That's the rationale for why this is. Do you have the survey? It's an MS Word document. It's turned into tables. You can type in those spaces. You can put X's in those spaces. If you're typing in the comment section, all right, and you get to the end of the line, well, just hit enter and it'll just keep adding spaces for you. So you can enter right here into the document. Here are the topics that you are surveying: curricula, plural, instruction, assessment, teacher leadership teams, student support services, professional development, accountability measures, computer-based assessment, and your computer-based readiness. This is what you are going to be asking an expert in your district about. Hang on, Victoria, we're almost there. Hang on, she's stifling a yawn, poor thing. Almost there, Victoria, hang on. Here are the different pages, all right? You're looking at it yourself. So first we're talking about, well, fill in the basics. Curriculum and use. You know, back to the DTSDE, oftentimes they get all kinds of crazy stuff when you ask what curriculum is in use, because everyone has a different definition of what curricula is. So I really can't challenge you on this. I just want you to give me your best bit of information. But pay attention. Do this. Pretend, if you will, that you are the new superintendent. Pay attention to what people tell you. You're going to learn a lot about your own district. If your curriculum specialist can just hang on, go to the file and tell you exactly, that's a good sign. If he or she hems and haws, isn't really sure, tells you, I'll get back to you on that, that's going to tell you something else too. Put your critical lens on and pretend that you are actually doing this, okay? Ask what curriculum. Indicate by checking the appropriate box. Let me make this larger. Find out if all grade level teachers are using the same formative assessments in addition to the New York State assessments. Why might I ask that in this context of alignment? Why would we want to know that?
To ensure consistency across the district.
I'm sorry, I don't know who is that. Jolene? Yeah, Jolene.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jolene.
I said to ensure consistency across the district within a grade level, and to ensure you're hitting those standards, that students are progressing on pace.
Yeah, exactly. So rather than wait till it's too late when the state test is given, and take a look at a formative assessment, and as Jolene said, rather than letting everybody act like their own independent actor out there and administer whatever test they want, everyone deserves an amount of academic freedom. There's no doubt about that. But with high stakes testing still the norm in New York State and in many of our states, it's not a bad thing to have teachers administering comparable assessments. And they need not be exactly the same. You could have a bank of approved English 9 questions or ELA 4 questions that people can choose from, but they've been vetted. And this gives you an idea, as Jolene so correctly said, gives you an idea as to how aligned you are with each other. What's the difference between vertical and horizontal alignment? Let me see a hand up. Vertical and horizontal, what's that referring to? Hang on, Jolene. I'll come to you if I can't get another hand up. Christy, thanks, Jolene. Christy, vertical and horizontal?
It's referring to within the grade level and then between the grade levels as a student goes up the grade levels and across the grade level.
Very good, very good. Because of course, what do we oftentimes hear for instance, if your middle school starts in 5th grade, what do we hear from the middle school teachers 5th grade about those darn teachers in the 4th grade? Well, they didn't teach them anything in the 4th grade. You know the old cliche. All the way down to the kindergarten teacher. What's the kindergarten teacher say? The parents didn't teach them anything at home. We're all about scapegoating who's ever before us. It's all a matter of alignment. That's why we're asking this question. Maybe there are no formative assessments. So say no. All right? How about data teams? Let's get a common definition. Give me a definition. What's a data team? And if it's the same one I'm thinking, then we will use that one, because what's in my head is what you're going to have to use. Data teams?
This is Debbie.
Go ahead, Debbie.
The group that collects and crunches the information, the results, the testing, and everything.
Exactly, Deb. Thank you. So data teams will be an example of a line, because if you're analyzing the data, that means that you are trying to based upon the data, information from the data, make some adjustments to your what? Your curriculum and or your instruction. So we want to know about that. Are these, and even if they are meeting, are they communicating it? Find out if they're communicating it. Does the district provide common planning time? Are special education teachers included in that common planning time? Remember, this is a survey. They're not necessarily right or wrong answers. They're better answers to these questions, but we're trying to find out what's the extent of alignment in our district. I'm taking into account, this is an easy one, by the way. In terms of instruction, I've gone here to the approved New York State rubrics. If you do or do not know, because of APPR, New York State has approved teacher evaluation rubrics. Find out which one yours is, simply check the box.
Can I ask another quick question? Oh.
You sure may. Go, Deb.
Sorry, I'm challenging myself on the phone. We didn't have the testing this year. Are we going to talk to the curriculum specialist as if it's a quote-unquote normal year?
Yes. You might refer to last year, since this year is such an anomaly.
Okay.
So if you can't get it, if they can't answer for this year, then simply fall back to what they know.
Okay.
Good question, Debbie. Thank you. Now, up here is the most recent, from the NYSED webpage, here's the most recent phase-in schedule for the next-gen learning standards. Here I'm asking questions about the degree to which you have, and I'm doing grades 5 through 8, all right? I didn't do all the grades 5 through 8. What's the degree to which you are, the ELA and math standards are being phased in according to the schedule? Here I'm asking you, see, I think I changed it on yours. Oh, I did. I didn't do 1920. I changed it to 1819. Debbie's question. Professional development. I want to know about the professional development, because that should be aligned as well to your instructional goals and objectives. Let's see if it is. All right? Or if you're just bringing in the high-priced speaker who has nothing to do with anything, and after they're gone, everybody forgets. See if you're aligned there too. Student support services. These are some of the most obvious ones. See if you're starting to put together student support services to assist your kids. Then I want you to actually go to your contracts. If you can't get your hands on a contract, you can go to See Through New York and find contracts for your school district. I want you to find the terms and conditions. Those are the clauses in the contract, in the collective bargaining agreement, that addresses these things. Are teachers paid for attending professional development sessions outside of the regular school day? And then attach the language. Do teachers receive some form of in-service credit? Are teachers required to participate in professional development outside the regular school day? And if teachers are required to submit lesson plans? These are indicators of alignment. All right, indicators that you have structures in place to support the alignment. Then we get to the computer-based testing. How are you doing in terms of implementing that and getting that online? And then after you're done, you personally rate the degree to which you're aligned. And only you and I are going to see it. All right? Only you and I are going to see it. Now, this is where it moves over to, this is what you have to do for me. All right? Give it a context. You have 3 short reading assignments. The other assignments are not that involved. This is the biggest one. After you send this to me by August 11th, then Dr. Mills is going to require of you that you take this here that we're looking at, this rating scale, so to speak, and then you have to design an improvement plan for him. Now, I have to get you more information on that. I asked him for what we had last year. I got a different document. I'll share with you a more specific document that shows his expectations. But basically, he's going to have you take each of these areas and design an improvement plan, not in great detail, all right? But he's going to want you to give him examples. For instance, if you say that the district is not very good in terms of its alignment near state standards, you have to provide him with some research as to why alignment with standards matters. But in a timely manner, I'll get more information for you from him about what his assessment will look like so that you can prepare that for him as well towards the end of the semester. Kim?
So if this assignment is due on the 11th, does that mean the class isn't actually over when it's over?
Notice my class is over. His capstone assessment is separate from the semester. It's a capstone assessment. It's not a 650 assessment.
Is it like another set of credits or like a comp exam?
Comp exam.
Oh, it's another comp exam?
Yes.
Or it is the comp exam.
The first time he administered it was last time I offered 650 when he first got his hands on this document. So yeah, you can blame me for this addition. But here's the thing, he needed one. He didn't have one. He needed one. And I gave him a convenient relief valve for producing one when he saw this document.
Is it though? I'm just a little confused because I did the SBL comp exam, so I know what the format of that was. I know that there's an SDL comp exam. Is this it then? Or is this in addition to
No,
that?
it's not it. I just did the SDL comp exam.
Oh my goodness.
You're going to have to ask him that, Kim. How those things fit in is not my pay grade. I'm not trying to be invasive.
Okay.
I'm going to add to that. This is Debbie, and I just did the comp exam. I turned it in on May 15th. So I plan, quote unquote, on finishing at the end of August. So
this came up the
I'll
last.
ask Dr. Mills.
I did ask him if this is going to require it again. He said it was. But for your benefit, I'm going to ask him more specific questions, all right? And I'm not going to interpret. I'm going to have him put it on paper.
That's great. I would also say, actually, this year we're going to base it on last year because everybody's school year got interrupted, so it's going to be a little. This is not going to be a good year to do this and base it on last year. So I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm just musing.
Well, I don't know. I don't agree with you, Debbie, that you can't. That the answers to these questions will be. What can I say? wrong. I don't want to say wrong. Will be inaccurate because it's based upon 18-19 school year.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that'll still hold up. Now, Kimberly, back to your question. This slide was prepared last time, so this is what we used last time. That EDU650 students will receive primary instruction class to assist with the survey. Part of that's happening right now. All right. And we'll do more of it when we get to week 8. All right. But frankly, I think you've got enough to get through this if you start now to ask these key questions. You will receive primary instruction class to assist with designing the consultant report. So I need more information from him as well about the consultant report. Both are due by the end of the semester. He's designed a rubric for scoring the report. You need to see that. The survey is graded by me. What we just looked at, Kimberly, that's graded by me. But the report, the consultant report, he submits that to Niagara staff, some of his people in his department, and they assess that, or they score that.
But they would be both due by the 11th of August then?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay? But
okay,
I will get you more. And if he's able, I'll have it for you by the next class, all right?
Okay, thanks.
You bet. All right. Yep. Okay, 613, 713. All right. Regarding district governance, this is a very basic assignment having to do with district governance. How Board of Educations organize themselves matters. And they organize themselves at their, it's either called a reorganizational, or some people refer to it as organizational meeting. Every July, a Board of Education is required to have a reorganizational meeting. Everybody has to do it. And they have to do a number of pro forma things, all right? They have to elect their officers. If they have board subcommittees, like a transportation subcommittee, a buildings and grounds committee, a finance committee, they appoint board members to those committees, and that gives you an idea as to how the board organizes itself. Then it also does mundane things like determines how much, who's in charge of petty cash, who are the banks in which you'll deposit your money, who's XYZ, and I'll show you what that looks like. But for me to get you acquainted with it, I want you to go find an organizational agenda from last July, or actually you could use this July, I don't care. All right, find a reorganizational agenda. I'll give you more in a minute. And I want you to find for me the names of find me the name of the school district, the title of the Board of Education offices, president, vice president, basically, and the names of the Board of Education members appointed to those offices, the president, the vice president's name, and the names of the Board of Education subcommittees. It's in the minutes. Now, Christy, again, and Sarah, this is leading to New York State certification. I don't know if you have reorg agendas in the Carolinas, so I think you can find these online from last July. It won't be difficult for you to do. But I will spend time in class teaching you more about the reorg agenda and what's in it and why it's so important. This is my way of you proving to me that you're paying attention and you actually got your hands on a reorg agenda, you looked at it, and that you're reporting something back to me. This is a one-page document. It's really rather simple. Back to the questions asked, I think it was Kimberly who asked it. I'll make sure that I teach you how boards are organized. It was Kim, we're talking about Carl Christoph. Make sure you know how boards are organized based upon their legal status, all right? Here's the law organizational agenda. Organization meeting of the board of every union, free school district, that means all of them, shall be held on the first Tuesday in July of each year. Okay? That's where it comes from in the law. Here's something from NISBA. This isn't important right now. It's just getting so late. This tells you some of the things that are in a reorg agenda. I'll show you one later in class, all right? You're looking for one, go to your district's webpage, locate Board of Education menu, drop-down list. If you want to use last year's organization agenda, that's just fine. These days, it's under something called board docs, not in every case, but you should find it. Find the board minutes from July of 2019 is fine. You can simply cut and paste. Simply cut and paste. If you got it on the page, take a screenshot. All right? I want the names of the board officers, and I want the names of the people and the names of the committees, the subcommittees to which they're appointed. These are board subcommittees. These are not other committees. These are Board of Education subcommittees. I don't care who's on the cheerleading committee. There are no board cheerleading committees. These are board level committees. I'm not denigrating cheerleaders. It's the first thing that popped up. Good, 718. Then you've got 3 reflections. They're not that long. All right. Get them done by the dates I mentioned because I'll be asking you questions about them at that time. If you're interested in how I'm going to talk to you about what a reflection is in a minute, very quickly. Here's the conversion of letter grades. This is in the syllabus. You have an opportunity to resubmit. That's okay. You can resubmit till you get it right, but don't wait till the end of the semester. Give me time to look at it, you time to get it back to me. Well, because it's so late, I'm going to go right to, synthesize. Reflection is really important. If we don't think about what we do on a daily basis and the mistakes we made and what we could have done better, I've asked this question of other classes. Victoria, when you're driving home at the end of a day, what are you normally doing in the car on the way home in addition to listening to music?
Recapping everything that happened throughout the day along with all my interactions with the students.
Exactly. You're reflecting. Darn, I wish I had done it this way. You kind of can't help it, right, Victoria? It just stays with you. It's a way of debriefing yourself. But that reflection is so darn important. And if you don't have that ability, you're not going to be very successful. Because the inability to reflect, it means that you're going to be committing the same errors over and over again. So we need to train ourselves in reflection. But what does it mean to reflect here in this course? I want you to apply the assignment, the reading, to your professional and personal life. Don't write me a book report. It really makes me upset if someone tells me what's in the article. I read it. I assigned it. All right. I know what's in there. I want to know how it affected you. Have you experienced similar circumstances? How did you react? Have you witnessed a similar situation in the work of a colleague? How did he or she react? Remember, it's confidential. I don't share any reflections with anyone. It's just you and I, all right? I'll comment on what I'm reading. Rarely do I send them back. I've sent a couple back, around half a dozen, because I could tell the person didn't read it. They're trying to pull the wool. You can tell we're teachers, for God's sake. All right? So I can tell if you're blowing me off. But I don't expect that from any of you at this level. All right? What does the source tell you? Here's an important one. What does the source tell you about your strengths and weaknesses? Are they talking about something in the article that makes you realize, oh man, I need to do more on this topic. I'm not too good here. Or I'm good at it, and this is why. But remember, a reflection, this is not a report on what you read. What's its length? That's the next question that usually comes up. Good reflections tend to be about a page and a half to 2 double-spaced. All right? Sometimes people get into a third page, it's more because they're talkative and there's a lot they need to say. All right. But usually a page and a half to 2 pages does it. All right. Those of you who've been with me in the past know that that's the case. All right. This is repetitious. Now it's 7:21. Let me just exit out here. I don't want to let this go for too long. Next week, I am going to take time and get into this issue about reopening, if you don't mind, because it's on everyone's plate. And I want to make you sensitive to the complexity of the job that your superintendents and your business managers, your central office folks are facing right now. I want to acquaint you with the complexity of your jobs, the challenge of your jobs, but also it's the beauty of these jobs. The diversity, the change, the complexity, the rewards when you solve a problem, all right? Getting it right. No, getting it 55% right, 45% wrong. If you can hit those numbers, you're in pretty good shape these days, all right? Can't please everybody. But we're going to start with something I saw the both of them was just a little while ago, all right, about summer schools, and there was a quick notice here embedded in the article that I want to talk about. I got my hands on the CDC guidance for reopening of schools. Remember, that's national. We're going to talk about that. Also got my hands on, Betsy will remember this and Nicole will remember, got my hands on the AFT, a plan to safely open America's schools and communities. That's instructive. And then I've heard a couple interviews on TV from practicing superintendents about what they're doing right now to try to prepare for the reopening. I want to talk about that with you because frankly, this reopening touches all of the standards that we're getting involved in. So it's a way of talking about something practical. We won't take the whole class, all right? Probably about 20 minutes, but I'm going to open next week's class with this conversation. And then we'll get into our regular agenda, which is to get into ethics and ethical dispositions. Still want to be enrolled? You're not going to drop on me, are you? You've come this far. You can get through me. This is going to be a good class. You're all a very talented group of individuals. You're a mature group of individuals who've made it this far also in the program. I can see a lot of potential and a lot of excellent performance in your eyes and your faces right now. We're going to be in good shape. We're going to learn a lot from each other. In 12 weeks, we're going to put together a small and maybe lasting learning community. Let's not forget, the relationships you are building now with each other are the relationships that will stay with you throughout your careers. And you never know when you're going to bump into each other again. And Jolene's going to call up Betsy when she's superintendent of Rochester Schools and ask for some help. And you'll be able to say, remember when we were in class together with that fool Rinaldi? Oh, he's gone now. But anyways, these are your connections right here. These are valuable. So get to know each other. Be honest with me. Be honest with each other. If you have any questions, stay late. I'm letting you all go. I'll see you next week, okay? Thank you for your kind attention. I had a good time tonight. Be safe. See you next week.
I just have a quick question about the culturally responsive assignment. For the course goals, do you want us just to describe the outline of the course and what students are expected to produce at the end of the course?
That would work, Victoria. That would work fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Kimberly.
I forgot I had a question about that too. When you were talking about that assignment, you were talking about courses. Can we cite a curriculum, not just a course?
Sure.
Okay. And like a name of a curriculum.
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay.
Well,
thanks.
Yeah, but remember, I want you to answer the other questions too.
Yeah, yes, but rather than a course, an entire curriculum that is used and answering all those questions.
Very good.
Okay.
Well, tell me what it is, just so I don't send you on a goose chase.
I think it was called. You sent this. You sent this stuff so early, so I looked at a lot of it. I've done some of it because I knew the major assignments were at the end, and I just didn't want to. I just that's how I am. So I chose a curriculum from the Yorktown Central School Districts where I live actually, and it's called Foundations, and it's an ELA curriculum that has some strategies in there for ELL learners, social children who are economically challenged, so on and so forth. It has some content that is
yes. Remember the focus on the culturally responsive. All right. So if it's just a way of teaching ELA to Spanish-speaking children, but it doesn't have a cultural perspective to it, that doesn't cut it. It's got to have
There's content in there that is related to African American culture, Hispanic culture.
That's what we want.
I think I cited that in there, but I'll double check that I did.
Okay, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Gary. It was a pleasure to work with you. I'll see you later, okay?
Take care. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You are currently the only person in this conference.